Okay, so for today's peer coaching, we'll work on some half kneeling windmills. And like I said, the windmills are going to help us with our thoracic and shoulder mobility. They're going to build stability. They're good for core strength. They're good all around movement, but they're also a good intermediate movement as we work towards Turkish get-ups. And they're just sort of a nice sort of assessment to see what people find hard, what they find difficult in terms of both strength and mobility. So they're a really good movement. You can do your windmills from standing, but actually there's a lot you can learn from doing the half kneeling windmills, which is what we'll talk about right now, okay? So with the half kneeling windmills, you're gonna want a kettlebell. Start off light. This is a challenging movement. I grabbed a 16 just because I want to show you what it looks like when it's challenging. If you do it too quickly, I don't want it to look easy because it is a challenging movement. So you want to start in your half kneeling position. And normally a half kneeling position is like the bottom of a lunge. So you see everything's forward, but actually with this one, because I want to make sure that people are getting their hinging in, I'm actually going to bring this leg into external rotation. So all that means is I'm just going to go ahead and turn so my knee is facing away from me. So I've got one knee that way and one knee that way. And the sole of my foot is facing that way, okay? So rather than doing a classic lunge, I'm just gonna go ahead and rotate sort of open hip. And what this is gonna do is when I'm playing around with the movement, it's gonna give me more room to do more of a squatting motion from here and also more of just a hinging motion. So it just gives my hips a little bit more space to play back and forth because like I said, you wanna remember this movement is not an old school side bend, okay? We're not just doing lateral flexion from the spine. We're actually gonna be moving from our hips and we're going to be moving thoracic rotation here. So this orientation will just give me a little bit more space. Point number one. Point number two, elbow is always straight, hand is always pointing at the sky. So you can experiment with this no matter what. You just want to make sure that whatever I do, my hand is always pointing straight up at the sky. If that means that people have to do this with no weight or very light weight, that's okay. We want to focus on quality of movement on this one. We're not going to worry about adding weight until the form looks good. Elbow straight, hand in the sky. From here, there's two ways you can get this up, okay? You can just do a clean from here. You can do a cheat clean, okay? Some people just might be more comfortable getting up from standing position, going down into a lunge, and going into that external rotated position. From here, you can use both hands or one hand to get it overhead. And our goal at first is just to practice getting our hand down to the ground, okay? If you do it this style, it's a very limited range of motion. It's much more limited than a standing windmill. And we're just gonna experiment going back and forth, feeling how my shoulder rotates. It's a small movement, but already I can start to feel like a light burn in my shoulder. Once I feel like I've got that, we're gonna play around with space a little bit more. So I'm gonna come down here, I'm gonna work on my hips a little bit, bending my elbow a little bit, okay? Seeing how that feels. If I feel confident from here, maybe I can get all the way down to my elbow. You can see how much I'm hinging here. And then pressing back up. And then ultimately, we wanna find a range of motion that's good for people. Maybe some people will just do palm today. Maybe some people will do palm to elbow. There's another variation, which is called the archer variation, which really imagine that you're an archer and you've got a bow and you're really pulling on the bow. This is to get tension in your elbow. And then from here, I'm just gonna practice coming down. Bring my elbow. That's probably just a little bit too heavy for me to do that with good form. So our goal today is to slowly build up weight, experiment with the movement, see if we can get our palm touching with control. If yes, get your elbow touching with control. If yes, build up weight, gradually working up to a heavy set of 3 and 3 on each side, alternating with your partner.